So the news just keeps getting worse and worse and worse for Trump, y'all. I mean, this is rough. We've seen a lot of polls in Trump's time in office for the second term that spell doom. For example, the polls when it comes to Latinos, all of the gains are now going gonzo. The gains when it comes to young people, all of those gains are gone and then some. The numbers are like lower now than they were beforehand. And so, really not good for them, really not good for Republicans in general. I mean, the party is basically collapsing. But having said that, it can always get worse, and it did. So right off the bat, let me just point out, now his average in the polls is 41%. His average in the polls. That is wild, bro. That is wild, okay? I've seen a number of polls. I even heard somebody say that on one of the news stations, I think MS Now, that 35% is now his lowest number. It had been, first there was a 39, then a 38, then a 36. Now I'm hearing there's a 35%er out there. Okay, holy shit. I mean, remember, I've always told you guys, I think his actual floor is between 26 and 33%. We're almost already there. So, and we're not even a year in. We're not even a year into his time in office, man. What the hell? Okay, well now we go to Harry Enton over on CNN. He's their poll guy, their data guy. And here's what he says comparing Trump to other presidents in their second terms. Here we go.
I mean, it's a disaster if it holds towards the midterm elections. And I should note, of course, it's not alone. I mean, just take a look here. This is Gallup. This is the longest running poll. Gallup has been conducting polls since my father was a kid. And my father was born in 1927, had me in the 60s. Look at this in January. Donald Trump's net approval rating, not too bad, not too great. It was at -1 point, right within the margin of error, breaking even. But look at this now. Negative 24 points, way down. We're talking about a drop of over 20 points in the wrong direction for the president of the United States. Minus 24 points. That's a 23-point move in the incorrect direction if you're the president. And of course, what's so important here, Sarah Seidner, is it matches the trend that we've seen with other polls. That is Donald Trump hitting his low for the second term. I was doing the count last night. I think we're up to 10 polls in sort of the last 40 days, 10 different pollsters who have said that Trump is at the lowest point he is in his second term.
So how does this compare to other presidents in their second term at this point in time?
Yeah, okay. So, this is one of these great examples where I kind of run out of room on the slide.
You did.
Yeah, I run out of room on the slide. So I just put up the Republican presidents. But look, the only one who's worse for me, either among Republicans or Democrats at this point in second term, is Richard Nixon. Of course, Richard Nixon had to wave adios amigos goodbye less than a year after this poll was taken. He was at minus 36 points. Trump at minus 24 points. That beats, or is worse, I should say, beats in the wrong direction. George W. Bush, minus 19 points. His Republican Party, of course, suffered major losses in the 2006 midterm elections. Dwight Eisenhower, plus 31 points. Donald Trump has never smelt that at all. I had to go into the archives to pick up that photo. And Ronald Reagan at plus 41 points. But again, it also is worse than Harry S. Truman. It's worse than Lyndon Baines Johnson. It's worse than Barack Obama. It's worse than Bill Clinton. Anywhere you look, this is the second worst for a president of either party at this point in their second term, dating all the way back since the 1940s.
1940s. Jesus Christ. By the way, being lower than George W. Bush at this point in his time in office, wow, man, you are struggling. You are in trouble because the country had already soured on him by 2005, for sure. We had the invasion of Afghanistan in 2001. That started going shitty pretty fucking quickly. Then we had the illegal and offensive war in Iraq in 2003. We, of course, had the Guantanamo Bay scandal, the Abu Ghraib scandal, the Patriot Act and mass surveillance. You had all these problems. And then obviously later on in 2007, 2008, that's when the economy fell off a fucking cliff too, right? But by 2005, it was already the case that, people were like, sort of fuck this guy, George W. Bush. We sort of fucking hate this guy. And Trump is 5 points worse than him, bro. Wow.
What does this mean for the midterms? Because are you seeing a trend that it's linked to how people feel about the president?
Yeah, okay. So, we always say, hey, look, we still got 11 months until the midterm elections. That's forever in politics. So I decided to go back and look at this point in the second term. What happened? What was the trend line heading into the midterm elections? Were there any presidents who saw their net approval ratings rise by more than 5 points? Well, guess what, Sarah Sider? You go all the way back since Harry S. Truman. 0 out of 8 times did the president's net approval rating rise by over 5 points. And of course, Donald Trump, right now in Gallup, minus 24 points. He's in the minus teens according to the average. If he does not see a rise of more than 5 points, see you later, that Republican majority. It has never happened. Of course, we live in such a weird time in politics. Who knows? We live in a weird time, but he's going to have to break history, Sarah Sider.
So, in other words, there's no way he's going to improve by 5 points or better. It's not going to happen, which means the numbers that exist now are either locked in or he's going to get worse and it's going to go lower. I think we're in for historic midterms, if I'm being honest with you. But I'm still not done because, look, last night we had the Afton-Bain election, and the Republican ended up winning in this deep red district in Tennessee. Now, look, I honestly thought that she might pull it off. I mean, we've been seeing wall-to-wall Democratic wins. I mean, it was a Democratic tsunami in the elections before that. So I actually thought Afton-Bain would pull it off. However, she did not pull it off, but when you read the specifics and you get into the numbers, this was a Trump plus 22 district. That's what he won by in 2024 in this district. When all said and done, it's going to be Republican plus 8, which means it's a double-digit improvement in the deepest red, one of the deepest red places in the country. So if you take those numbers and you say, okay, let's have this much of a Democratic pickup all around the country, then what happens is Democrats they're up like 60 or 70 seats or something like that, after the midterms. So it is catastrophic and apocalyptic, even though Republicans were able to hold on in deep red Tennessee. Now, we got some more here. Listen to what Harry Ensign says.
Republicans should be running for the hills this morning because the blue wave is building, my dear friend, Mr. Berman. What are we talking about here? Well, Matt Van Epps, the Republican candidate, he won it by 9, but this is a district that Donald Trump won by 22 points, 15 points, 17 points. This is a 13-point gain for the Democrats in terms of the margin, and excuse time for Republicans is over because I hear all about these special elections. Oh, the turnout's so low. It's not representative of what happened in the midterm election. The turnout last night in Tennessee's 7th district was equal.
He's going to say equal to 2024, which is crazy. That is insane that it was that big of a turnout. The other thing is Republicans realized it was going to be a race in like late October, so they spent all of November doing a full court press, spending a lot of money in the race, getting all these Republican politicians involved, desperately trying to win, actually campaigning. The fact that they felt like they needed all hands on deck and they only won by 9 points, as Harry Ensign says. Whoo, buddy. Whoo, buddy.
Happened in the midterm election. The turnout last night in Tennessee's 7th district was equal to the turnout in the 2022 midterm election. So the blue...
Yeah, I'm sorry, not 2024, 2022 midterm.
Wave, it seems to be building right out of center of Tennessee.
Interesting. I mean, so in terms of the numbers, the turnout looked like a regular midterm election, not a special election.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And of course, we have a midterm, what, about 11 months from
now?
All
right. What have we seen in terms of trends in all the special elections the last year?
Okay. I wouldn't necessarily give a hoot and a hollering about one special election in Tennessee. I love the people in Central Tennessee, but Central Tennessee is nothing special compared to the rest of the country. But what we see happening is, take a look here. Okay, 2025 U.S. House special elections. Dems outrunning Kamala Harris. A lot of blue here. A lot of blue, which is what I think the nation might look like a year from now if these results hold. Arizona.
Okay, I just need everybody to stop and realize what they're looking at here. Democrats outrunning Harris 2024 by 17 points in Arizona, 23 points in Florida. These are all different districts, I guess I should say. In certain districts, it's 17. They're outrunning Kamala by 17, 23, 16, 13, 28, and 17. Jesus Christ, that's colossal.
A year from now, if these results hold, Arizona 7, you see a 17 outperformance of Kamala Harris. 23 points in Florida 1, 16 points in Florida 6, 13 points in Tennessee 7, 28 points in Texas 28, and then 17 points in Virginia 11. So we've seen it throughout the nation, whether you go from the suburbs of Washington, D.C., all the way to the southwest in Arizona, whether you're looking at Texas, whether you're looking at Tennessee, whether you go down to Florida, we have seen the Democratic outperformance of Kamala Harris happening across the political map. What happened last night in Tennessee ain't just staying in Tennessee. It is spreading itself throughout the nation. As I said, to me, looking at these results, it looks like a blue wave is building.
And it's not just that it's blue, it's that it's double-digit blue.
It is exactly right. It's double-digit blue. I will note, I looked at the stats. If, in fact, you had a 13-point shift like we saw in Tennessee, and you applied that to the 2024 presidential map, we are talking about a gain for Democrats of north of 40 seats.
All right, in terms of the history, what does this mean as we project forward?
Okay, so we're looking at these special elections. We're sort of applying these hypothetical numbers, right, in terms of, Democrats would gain north of 40 seats if, you moved everything over, 13 points from the 2024 presidential result. But we actually have history to show that what happens in special elections doesn't just stay in special elections. It spills over to the midterm results. Special elections and midterm results. I just keep going to this. When a party outperformed in special elections since 2005, 5 out of 5 times, they went on to win a majority in the U.S. House of Representatives. What happened last night in Tennessee is a very, very bad omen for Republicans and a very, very good omen for Democrats.
Harry Ensign, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And this is what happens This is what happens when Trump has a great Gatsby roaring 20s party with his billionaire buddies at the same time that 40 million Americans were starving because they froze the food stamps. This is what happens. There's a backlash to that. This is what happens when you don't pay 1 million government workers for over a month and a bunch of them still have to keep showing up for work and not getting paid for a long time, okay? This is what happens. This is what happens when you routinely bomb innocent people in fishing boats in the Caribbean off the coast of Venezuela. When you fight to make sure that healthcare premiums double, triple, quadruple, and in some cases more than that. When you arm and fund a genocide in Gaza and pretend like you did a peace deal, but Israel continues to bomb innocent people, destroy the buildings in Gaza, and steal more territory. This is what happens when you're the most corrupt president by far, and Trump literally just pardoned a guy who was laundering money for Al-Qaeda. This is what happens. When you're Jeffrey Epstein's best friend and emails come out that prove such a thing, this is what happens. So it's all crumbling around him, and I don't foresee them being able to turn this ship around. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. So if anything, we need to see how good can it get for Democrats, right? Because what I would say to the Democrats is, look, and I told you guys this was the case too. I told you that like the James Carville strategy of like just shut the fuck up and do nothing, that actually would work. I told you that would work. And it would work because Republicans are so bad that on the merits of their own ideas, their political project will fall apart. But what's the other thing I also told you? I told you that, but if Democrats actually fight, they will win by more. And that's the part that they still haven't realized yet. That's the part that they're missing. That, you know, if your ass was out there highlighting all of the Trump corruption, if your ass was out there highlighting all of the Epstein stuff, and shout out to Ro Khanna, he is doing that, and there are some Democrats who are doing that, but most of them are not. If your ass was out there talking about the Venezuelan warmongering, if your ass was out there talking about the concentration camps and innocent people getting raped in El Salvador because Trump illegally sent them there with no due process, right? If you actually talk about these issues and hammer away and you bring up your solutions, well then, instead of winning by 12 points, we'll win by fucking 19 points and it'll be the wave to end all waves. And so I do need a little wakey on the Democrat side to understand that, yes, you're right. If you step aside and let them destroy themselves, they will. But you can actually make it a more dominating win if you get involved and you actually stand for something. If you oppose everything this fascist regime does, and then you also say, hey, by the way, we want Medicare for all. We want free college. We want a living wage. We want to end the wars. We want unions for everybody. We want to end the corruption and get money out of politics. We want a 4-day work week. We want universal basic income or social security for all. If you actually stand on business and argue for these things, let's do a new deal and create the best infrastructure anywhere in the world. I want the best airports in the world. I want the best roads and bridges in the world. Imagine actually standing for something and arguing for it as the right is defending Jeffrey Epstein's best friend and rounding up innocent people. Like, it would be amazing. It'd be amazing. So it's really not looking good for Trump and Republicans. I know they held on yesterday against Afton Bain, but I think even they know internally, like, holy shit, we really got to figure something out because this is unsustainable. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.